So what happens when you go on Jubilee Surrounded and you approach it with genuine curiosity? Well, that's what I wanted to find out, and that's what I did. Welcome to Cylinder Radio, where we look at viewpoint diversity. And I like understanding things from all different perspectives. So along those lines, I've been asked to go on Jubilee several times, and I was like, I don't know, this isn't really for me. It seems a lot like it's just like trying to own people, and I'm just here for a Socratic method. I'm here to try and learn from people. But after I watched what happened with Jordan Peterson, and I was like, ooh, there seems like there's some stuff behind the scenes. Let me see what this is all about. So I went on, found out that it was with Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks, and the topic was populism versus a populist versus 20 Democrats and Republicans. So I'm going to go into when I took the chair and kind of explain a little bit about what that was like for me. So here we go.
My next claim is the Republicans only care about the rich and everything else is a mirage.
So you can see, like, I got to the chair. It's not really a race, but that was kind of just determined ahead of time. But I thought that when there was the idea of, they don't care about. I don't like any of that stuff. You don't care about women. You don't care about babies. You don't care about, kids. It's like, don't care about the poor. You only care about the rich. Like, that just doesn't, these kind of absolutes. So I'm going to go into, the conversation I had. But what I want you to see, if you watch the full episode, you'll see people go in there just looking to take him down. They're looking to prove their point. These people are, like young kind of influencers and stuff, and they do a lot of research because they know this is coming up. Like, we knew this was coming up for about a week or so. We didn't know with who, but we knew it was about populism and Democrats and Republicans. So they went in with like a lot of data. And I didn't. I came in just like, let's go ask questions to whoever it is. So it was a very different approach, but I really tried to show genuine curiosity, intellectual humility, and grace towards Cenk. So I'm going to let this play, and then you can kind of get what you think about it. There we go. How are you?
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So personally, I don't like absolutes, so I try to stay away from them. When you say the Republicans, are you talking about the party establishment? Are you talking about the politicians? Are you talking about the citizens?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked that. I always mean the politicians. Okay, so for all of these, don't take offense if you're a Democrat or a Republican voter. I'm talking about the politicians.
I'm neither one. But so do you think that the Republicans care more about the rich than the Democrats? Do you think the Democratic establishment really doesn't just care about the rich?
So as I said, I think that both parties are similar on economic issues.
So one of the earlier claims in the episode was Democrats and Republicans are the same when it comes to economics. So I thought this was a counter to his earlier claim, which is that both parties are now are representing the rich. Going back to the Clinton days, what was happening is the Democrats were the party of the working class. But if you're the party of the working class, then what you got to do is you got to deliver. You got to deliver better working conditions, better hours, and all of things like that. And then those people who that would negatively affect the people who own the businesses, that's the donor class. So they said, we're going to get crushed. So we're not, because they lost all the way up, through the 1980s, Reagan, then Bush, and then Clinton was like squeaked by. Probably thanks to Ross Perot is the only way Clinton got in. So they're like, all right, we got to change this. We got to become a party of the donor class too. So that's the reason I brought up what I did here. Let's play.
Yeah. And they play good cop, bad cop on us. Do the Republicans push the tax cuts? Yes. Is it almost always under Republican administrations? Yes. Do they ever balance the budget? No, never.
So do you think that the idea that employers who have a lot of money, that they provide jobs and that's a way to give back to the poor? Do you buy into any of that concept at all?
No.
I mean, as entrepreneurs who are going out there innovating, I'm a classroom teacher, so I go out, try and build entrepreneurs who can employ people and do something like that. Isn't that that entrepreneurial spirit can be more aligned with the conservatives, would you say?
No, I don't agree. I'm an entrepreneur.
Clearly, entrepreneurs are more aligned with conservatives or with a party with Republicans. Okay, not all, obviously. Again, I don't like absolutes, but most entrepreneurs, whether they're influencers on Instagram or people that you meet who start from nothing and build a business from the ground up, most of them are more conservative. So he says he doesn't buy into that because he is one, but he's he's in media. It is a little bit different than like building like a brick and mortar or something. But even so, of course, there's going to be anomalies of people, but overwhelmingly more entrepreneurs do tend to lean more conservative. So that's why I brought that up.
I run a small business, and so they are always talking about small businesses, and then they immediately change the goalposts to cuts on capital gains. Wait, that has nothing to do with small business. Cuts on estate tax, that's for the super rich. That has nothing to do with small businesses. So, brother, they use small business as like a marketing tool. Oh, we're for the average American, we're for small business. Then the actual tax cuts are for the mega rich and for the mega corporations.
What about minimum? So, and then I get the minimum wage. But what's being lost here is small businesses. The goal of a small business is to become a large business. So it's, and I've seen this with my wife's business. I've seen this with a lot of people in my life that have started businesses. It's like, oh, you're starting a business. That's so cute. Good for you. Good for you. And then as it grows, then it's like, oh, now you're the villain. But like, that's the process. That's the goal of every small business, is to become a larger business. So that tends to align with why conservatives go with that. It's not to just help me now while I'm small. It's to help me get big. And then when I'm big, I can do more good with the wealth that I create when it gets big. So then I bring up minimum wage here. Wage. Like as a business owner,
yes.
Like the repercussions of minimum wage. I haven't been to McDonald's in a while. I went, it's been years. I went and it's just a screen. Like there is that element, of the minimum wage raising and that leading to more unemployment.
Yeah. So I don't agree with that either.
Okay.
So first of all,
okay. So again, he doesn't agree with that, but that was a true story. I went to a McDonald's and I hadn't been to one in a while. I went with my son and there was just a screen. I pushed the button and then it sat down and then someone like walked it out. It was like, wow, there's a lot less. But minimum wage here in California for fast food workers, I think is like $19 an hour. It's really high. So of course, to keep overall costs down, to be able to maintain the business, they're going to let people go who work at facilities like that. But again, he doesn't agree. But this is basic economics that you can't pay someone more money than they will generate. Okay, that's simple. That's the way that it is. If your job generates $10 an hour in revenue, then I can't pay you anything $10 or more. It doesn't make sense. You have to pay people less than they generate. And that's the basic simple concept here that I think that he's not seeing.
Everything, it requires bounds. So you can't have a $100 minimum wage. I get that, right? But having said that, are we anywhere near where we should be on minimum wage? No. We're at $7.25 federally on minimum wage. That is a disaster. And so what that is if you work every single day, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks, no vacation at all, you only make $15,000 at $7.25. No one can live on $15,000. So when you push up minimum wage, what it does is it pushes up.
And like, I understand like this argument, but minimum wage jobs were not designed to be for everyone to sustain a family or anything like that. I made minimum wage when I was a teenager. It's like an introduction. It's a place to start, and you can start minimum wage and then work your way all the way up to be CEO of a company. People have done that, but this idea that everyone who works needs to be able to make enough money to support a family, that doesn't really make sense when you understand the dynamics of society and how that works. There has to be jobs that are designed for people who don't need to support a family or need to, really even like get out from underneath their parents' house or something along those lines. Like there has to be jobs available, just possible for people who just want to make some side income, which is like just the kind of the angle that I'm agreeing with. So like there I'm trying to push back on.
All wages. And that is a good thing, not a bad thing. They always tell you, no, give it to the corporations and then it'll trickle all over you decades later. No, there's an economics called middle out.
So what happened here, if you can see in the bottom corner, there's a little flag. You get like 2 minutes, and then after 2 minutes, they can put up a flag to vote you out. And I'm not going hard in the paint. I'm just asking questions. He's, defending his position. So you can see the flags go up pretty quick to exchange me for someone else.
And what that does is it gives directly to the middle class, and then they spend it more, and it creates a better economy, especially for small businesses like yours and mine, et cetera. So there's a way to do this. It gives to the average guy first, but the Republicans never do that. They always push for tax cuts for the richest people in the country.
So why do you see? Do you believe that the populist element of Trump, where a lot of the working class, they're like, I know he's a Yankee with gold toilets, but I'm going to vote for him because he's not like vilifying me. Do you think that they're just being manipulated by Trump?
Yeah, 100%. So look,
Okay, so and then this is another one that I think when you say that this huge swath of Americans are just being manipulated, they're just rubes who are being tricked by Trump, I think it's insulting to a lot of people to say like you don't know that you're being tricked. And I just it's very like paternalistic. It's very like talking down. It's like that idea that Cenk knows that you're just being manipulated. I think it comes off really, really ugly, you know, that to say like you don't even know that you're being tricked. People don't like that. People don't like to believe that they're being manipulated, that they don't understand something, and he seems to understand it. That, you know, for someone who's a populist who says he's for the working class and everything, I think that was just like not a great take, honestly. I just think that it's as I said, I think it's insulting. They just don't know any better, you know.
I don't want people manipulated. That's why I do things like this. I don't want you getting manipulated by the politicians on either side. In a time where we have massive deficits and a $38 trillion debt, why are we giving another $1.1 trillion to people making over $500,000? It doesn't make sense.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, so that was essentially that's it. But I was actually curious, and I would have loved to have a longer conversation with him the same way that I do on Cylinder Radio for the past several years. It's just, I'll talk to anybody about anything. I just want to have conversations. That's why I have my Paradox Roundtable. We come together, we just talk about things. We try and get similar definitions. And I don't think Jubilee Surrounded is designed for that. I don't think it's good for that. I think it's almost like when Steven Crowder would do the change my mind thing. He didn't actually want to have his mind changed. He wanted to just prove himself right. And that's what it seems like this is about Surrounded. It is an us versus them. It's kind of like Crossfire back in the day, you know, Tucker Carlson's old show where it's like Democrats versus Republicans. This whole like versus thing, it's just not what I'm into. But it was cool. It was a cool experience. I appreciate them for bringing me on, and I got to kind of see behind the curtain a little bit, and now I get to share it with you guys. So let me know what you think. You watch the full episode and everything, and I think that I do come off as different than a lot of the other people on there because I am. I think that I'm different than a lot of people on social media too. I'm not the only one, but I am definitely calling for something different than the constant back and forth fighting that I tend to see so much. So thank you guys for listening. Curious to your thoughts.